Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it When Feelings of Scarcity Appears. It's based on a question someone asked in the Spanish channel. It says, "Hi Nick, what do you do when you start to get thoughts of things that you have not achieved and you get frustrated and that feeling of scarcity comes from not having achieved it?" So I'm going to share what I respond in writing and then we'll elaborate a bit. I said, "Thoughts of all kinds will arise based on your conditioning, which establishes your belief system. We are all subject to them. The problem is that if you continue to identify with yourself as an individual, all those thoughts will have something to attach to. The investigation being done here is, who am I? When it is clear that I am the presence and not this individual, any thought that arises can be seen without having an effect on us. The presence does not feel lack, frustration, or have anything to accomplish. That is why it is important not to lose sight of the fact that the message is not directed at the person. Although words are employed, they are used to point to the immovable and unchanging background that remains regardless of the thoughts that may appear on the surface. Given the nature of your question, I don't know if you can understand what I am sharing here. However, if you continue watching the videos, at some point all of this will become obvious because the message never changes, even when it's seemingly approached from different angles." Okay, so basically the question talks about I, the person, have these thoughts that come about of things that I haven't achieved and everything you can possibly imagine, right? But when you recognize, or when there's a recognition, the I am, which is the ever-present, it's always never changing, immovable, immutable essence, that's what we are, then all questions and all thoughts are seen through. They're no longer distractions, they're just simply passing clouds that have no power to affect what I am in essence. Now we're going to do a quick exercise here to put this to the test to see that this is not esoteric, this is not something so far off that you can see through it. This is very, very practical. So here's what we're going to do now. Right now, I want you to bring a thought, any, let's say a negative thought, something that you may feel could have an effect on you. I am unworthy, I am not good enough, I don't like my body, I don't like blah blah blah, I don't like myself. It doesn't matter, but just bring that thought into the mind. I want you to bring the thought. Once the thought is there, whatever the case may be, whatever the thought is, here's the question I'm going to ask you, and please pay close attention. Can you see that this is just a thought? Can you be aware of the fact that it's a thought? And the answer has to be yes. So that is just a thought. Now notice that by seeing it as a thought, can the thought has an effect on you when you're simply observing the thought? Because the problem is when the thought comes in, the first impulse is that this is my thought, or this is who I am, or this thought is talking about me, is describing me. But in reality, it's just a thought that is appearing in what is, in the isness which these videos are pointing to. So right now, can you see that it's just a thought? When you see that it's just a thought, can you observe that it's a thought? Does the thought has any effect on you? Only when you're identified with the thoughts. But if you're looking at it as just a thought, it's like somebody wrote in a blackboard or something, you are unworthy, and you're looking at the words, but you're not internalizing them, you're not taking them personal. You see the words as you are unworthy. From that position, all that there is the words. Okay? Now, that thought is being observed by what? And here's when it gets interesting. The first impulse is by me. Okay, then let's look at that me. Who's that me you're talking about? I am the one observing the thought. Okay, that I am the one observing the thought. Who is that I am the one observing the thoughts? And if you really pay attention, I am the one observing the thoughts is also a thought that is saying I am the one observing the thought. Without the thought I am the one observing the thought, what remains? That which remains is in which the I am the one observing the thought appears. And that is where these videos are pointing to. And you cannot understand this with the mind, because the mind is a thought itself in what I am. And this I am where these videos are pointing to is that beingness feels frustration. Can it feel slack? It doesn't feel anything. It simply is. Well, you are that isness, which is all-encompassing, ever-present, non-conceptual, which is the totality of it all. And this is where the videos are pointing to. And the mind cannot grasp this because the mind is seeking a solution. No, I have this thought that I feel lack, I feel frustration, all the scarcity from not having achieved anything. I want resolution to that. You see, but the resolution to that is how can I have thoughts that suggest that I feel plentiful, abundant, or whatever. But these thoughts as well, they may seem to appear better than the previous ones, are still thoughts that keeps reinforcing the sense of identity, which is the core issue, which is the problem itself. Only when you feel you're a person, now you need to attach labels to that person, which are thoughts, so that hopefully you can feel better. So you can feel good as a person. And there's nothing wrong with feeling good as a person. Is better than feeling bad. However, it's still identification with a limited, you see, with what is limited. That is what creates the sense of scarcity. And as long as you feel scarce, it doesn't matter if you have $1 billion, you still will feel scarce, because the $1 billion is not going to fulfill the empty, the void that is in there when I feel that I'm a separate entity. But when you feel plentiful, you feel plentiful and at peace with the $1 billion or with only $10 in your bank account. It doesn't matter. And this is where the videos are pointing to. They're pointing to the fact that you are. You see? So we're just looking at all the belief systems that are coming up to the surface to be seen, not to be judged, just to be seen. So, like I said at the beginning, thoughts of all kinds will arise based on our conditioning. We are all subject to them because, I mean, it's a collective. It's just basically thoughts will appear. However, the problem is that if you continue to identify with yourself as individual, all those thoughts will have something to attach to. So if I, for example, insult you, if you're not identified with a sense of identity, you may see words that are coming, but they seem to go through you, they pass through you. But if you believe you're this individual and I insult you, if you believe the insult, of course the words will have something to attach to. I think the Buddha says, every arrow that someone throws at me, it dissolves in my silence. So right now, let's put this to the test. Again, this is not esoteric. Let's put it to the test right now. Whatever thoughts that may be appearing right now, if you don't identify with them, just don't believe them. Just let them be. They will be there. There's nothing we can do about them. But if you don't identify with the thoughts, what remains? And this is the disclaimer. I'm not suggesting that you, individual, don't identify with the thoughts. This is when it gets interesting. I'm just trying to point to the obvious. When there's no identification with any thoughts, they will be there, they'll appear, but when there's no identification, not believing them, what remains? That investigation is what leads you to the liberation that you are, meaning that you are already free. You're not going to be free in the future. It is appear as though you're not free because you're identified with the thoughts, I, this individual, now I feel this way and now I want to be liberated. No, 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 no. You already are free. You're freedom itself, like one of the books of the series. So, right now, just for a moment, don't believe any thoughts. Just don't identify with thoughts. And what remains? What remains is what cannot be described, cannot be even talked about. We cannot talk about this. But there's undeniable the fact that there is, what remains is what is. Call it awareness, call it existence, call it presence. But in the end, don't call it anything. Just pure beingness. Thoughts are not being denied, meaning that they'll be useful, you still function in the world like everybody else. The functioning will continue. It's not personal though. The only thing is that the psychological identification with the sense of self is beginning to drop away. You still play the character, whatever character you're supposed to play, but you don't take it seriously. It's not important. It's just simply experiencing life unfolding as it will. Thoughts, feelings, sensations, they do appear, or they seem to appear in what is, and you are that what is. This is what this is all pointing to. Right now you cannot negate the fact that you are. You cannot say I am not. You cannot say I don't exist. You cannot say that because that is intuitively, intrinsically part of the experience itself. The problem is when you say I exist as an individual, you see, or that I am a separate entity, because that is a thought. And we are just observing how the mind operates, so at least we're not tricked by it. The mind has been running the show only because we have overlooked it. Now I can see the mind is not running the show. So when the thoughts of things you haven't achieved, okay, thoughts of things I haven't achieved, you get frustrated. No, you don't get frustrated. You interpret the thoughts, which is another thought. You see, a thought interpreting a thought, and the consequence of that interpretation is what we label frustration. Without the interpretation, there's no frustration. All that there is a thought. The thought that says, I have not achieved anything. Okay, it means nothing. Just a thought. And the feeling of scarcity comes from not having achieved it. No, the feeling of scarcity does not come from not having achieved it. The feeling of scarcity comes of the interpretation of a thought that says, I have not achieved, and therefore I am unworthy, and all the things you can possibly imagine that the mind attached to that thought. But there's nothing to achieve. What there is to achieve, who would be achieving it? See? As long as I believe that a separate entity, and I believe that I have to achieve something, the mind will have plenty of room to play with. But if I am, there's nothing to achieve. I don't achieve anything. What is there to achieve? Life happens. On the surface may appear that some things may have resulted into what people label them achievements, but in reality, I've never achieved anything. I've never done anything. Life simply has unfolded in a way that this character had all different experiences, but they're not achievements, because that puts me in a position of thinking that I achieved anything. That's the arrogance of the self-centered thinking. I am an individual and I am doing things. I am achieving things. I'm not achieving anything. Life happens. Like Ramana Maharshi used to say, what is meant to happen will happen, even if you try not to do anything about it. And what is not meant to happen, it will not happen, try as you may. But the mind wants to take credit. Oh, I did that. I thought of that. But in reality, life is happening. I just made this video. Did I achieve something? I have a YouTube channel. Did I achieve something? I have written songs. Did I achieve something? I have one of my songs play on a radio station in the United States. Did I achieve something? I have been on television. Did I achieve something? I have traveled many places in the world. Did I achieve something? You see? I've never achieved anything. These are just experiences. Take the label of a me who thinks that he's doing all those things, and then life is just basically experiencing. And when life is seen from that perspective, which is not a personal perspective, but I don't know what words to use, then life unfolds. I don't know what's going to happen with this character. And I don't need to know, because I am. And when you rest in the I am, all these thoughts don't have any power over you. They have no effect on you at all. Frustration and sense of scarce and everything, all that has nothing to do with you. You have what you have. Doesn't make you abundant, doesn't make you scarce. It simply is what it is. Feelings, sensations do appear. If you don't label them anything, they're just feelings, sensations, passing clouds. Just like thoughts are passing clouds. It's all passing clouds, and you are in which all these passing clouds seem to appear and disappear. These videos are reminding you of that so that you can experience the peace that surpasses all understanding, so you can actually live happily, because you are not identified with the content of the mind. Without identification with the content of the mind, there's no problem. And that's why it's interesting to say that when you know who you are, all your problems disappear. Yeah, on the surface may appear that there are situations that may require some attention, and some people may label it problems. But if you see them as just simply experiences and that's it, and when a feeling comes up or a thought attaches to that experience, you immediately know this is just a thought, means nothing, this feeling means absolutely nothing. While simultaneously you notice that life is moving you to take whatever action is necessary, if it's something required from you, in order to solve that seeming situation, but you never saw it as a problem, you saw it as an experience. Life is full of experiences. And again, we're not in denial of anything. I still feed the body, I still do the things that people do in the world, of course, not believing the collective belief system. I don't believe any of that. However, I still take care of this individual, and I do the things that the bodies would do, that most people would say, oh, that person is a person. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't matter. But you rest in that, you rest in what is, you see, and then all the thoughts can be seen, and if they're seen again, you rest once again, experiencing the peace that surpasses all understanding, in spite of what might be taking place in the world of appearances. And this is very practical. This is not esoteric. This is where this is pointing to. That's why I'm not pretending for you to do something that in the future you're going to become liberated, or in the future you'll experience something mystical. No, it's just very obvious. Right now, right this moment, if you don't identify, if you don't believe any thoughts, what remains? What remains is what is. Now it's only a matter of continue remembering this until this becomes second nature, in the same way that believing this character you thought you were has become second nature to you. Well, that's fine. Just like everything, you just keep remembering the fact that I am. And it's not you who remembers it, But once again, the limitation of language. Right now, you cannot negate the fact that you are. This is the I amness this is pointing to. Don't believe any of the clouds that seems to be covering the I am, and you remain as I am. Even while, again, on the surface, things are done, deeds are done, but like Buddha says, deeds are done, but there's no doer thereof. So life simply is unfolding. Right now, this video is being recorded. That's just part of the unfolding of life. It's not an achievement, doesn't mean anything, it's just simply what is. You see? And there's nothing else to say. So, anyway, I hope this served, and as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.